The assassination of American President John F. Kennedy took place on an occasion when he was passing through downtown Dallas in his highly secured motorcade. At that time, Secret Service agents and an entire police motorcade were present with him. Not only this, but the FBI, the CIA had kept an eye on this entire route for several days in advance. But despite all this, on November 22, 1963, he was attacked near Dealey Plaza and he was killed on the spot. Within minutes of this attack, the CIA, FBI, Secret Service and the police created a stir. But despite using so much force, they could neither bring anyone else under the ambit of the law except a shooter named Lee Oswald, nor did they want it to. Was this a well-planned conspiracy or was it an isolated incident? The shooter dodged the world's top secret agencies and shot the most famous president from a distance of just a few meters. No one was able to digest this official story. There was also a simple fast route from the airport to the banquet where the president had to go. But why was his motorcade brought through the middle of the city and who had planned this route? This is a mystery till date. That was this incident of shooting him a coincidence or was it planning? The reality is that only a month earlier the person who was officially arrested in this case, working in the book depository, got the job just on a phone call. But in the video footage of the shooting scene, a girl wearing a scarf was seen taking photographs of the murder. Why could she not be found till date and what was her connection with all this? On November 22, 1963, American President John F. Kennedy was killed by an attack on his motorcade. President JFK's death sent millions of Americans into mourning. At the same time, the investigation in this case has failed to answer many questions of the people. It is believed that the top secret agencies of the U.S. have hidden a lot regarding the assassination and haven't made the truth public. There are many reasons for such thoughts. The first of which is the selection of the venue where the president actually had to go. President JFK had to give a political speech in Dallas, Texas, for which two options were kept. One was the Trade Mart and the other venue was the Women's Building. The recommendation of White House was to select the venue of the Women's Building. But Texas Governor John Connally wanted the president to go to the Trade Mart. The reason for this was that the Trade Mart was a banquet hall while the interior of the Women's Building was not suitable for the president to go there. The venue of Trade Mart was selected 8 days before the assassination, but this news was not made public. Now it was the turn to decide how to reach Trade Mart from Love Field Airport where the president's plane was to land. Normally the presidential motorcade is taken through such route where there are minimum interruptions or turns. There was also a route which could have bypassed the city and taken the president to the Trade Mart from outside, but it was not selected. Rather, a route was selected from inside the city near the school book depository from where the shooter attacked the president. If you are thinking that this route was specifically planned to attack the president, then you are wrong. Yes, this was done on the president's own request because he wanted to pass through the crowd of people. But if the Women's Building would have been selected instead of the Trade Mart venue, then the president's motorcade would have passed through this main road. Then it had gone towards the east via the road, it would have increased the distance to the book depository and it had been difficult for the shooter to take aim. Because the president's wife, First Lady Jacqueline, who always sat on his left side, would have come between the shooter and the president. In planning the assassination of the president, the selection of the location of Trade Mart was very important. Texas Governor John Connally's intentions cannot be doubted because he himself was sitting in the presidential limousine with his wife at the time of attack. He was also shot but his life was saved, and secondly, Governor Cannoli was already against this route. He wanted it from outside the city. But there was someone who had calculated all these things long ago. The president's motorcade and venue was made public only 4 days before his assassination. That is, no one knew this information before that. But something had happened in the school book depository 2 months ago which shows that someone already had this information. Yes, exactly 2 months ago, there was a sudden shortage of staff in the school book depository. In September 1963, a man named Wasley Frazier receives a call from an employment agency offering him a job at a book depository. Wasley Frazier lived half an hour away in a town called Irving. He arrived at the book depository the very next day, on September 13th, and Roy Truly, the superintendent there, immediately hired him. After a month, on October 15th, Basil's neighbor also approached the book depository superintendent on phone and coincidentally, he was also hired the very next day. It was Lee Oswald who was to be arrested in the case of murder of President JFK after 39 days. Because Lee Oswald did not have a driving license, he could not do the Outback every day. That is why he rented a room in Dallas itself. He would go to his home in Irving after office timings with Basil on weekends and return to the book depository with Basil on Monday morning. This routine continued for about a month, but only for one day from the president's assassination on Thursday, November 21st. This routine was broken. Lee went to his home in Irving with Oswald Wasley because he said that he would stay in Dallas this weekend. The next morning on Friday, when Oswald went to the office with Wasley, he was carrying a long paper bag in his hand, which had curtain rods according to Oswald. Just half an hour before the assassination, he was present with some of his colleagues on the 6th floor of the book depository. It was 12 o'clock in the day and it was lunchtime. Everyone went to the first floor for lunch, but Oswald was alone on the 6th floor. To see the motorcade of the president, a large crowd of people had gathered outside the depository. A few employees of the depository were also busy watching the scene from the windows of the 5th floor. At exactly 12:30, the president's motorcade arrived, in which the president was on the right side of the car and the first lady was on his left side. The governor and his wife were sitting in the front. As soon as the presidential limousine takes a left turn from the book depository, the entire area echoes with the sound of the first fire. Coincidentally, at that time a reporter was recording the entire scene in his camera. It was said that 2 shots were fired, but some also heard the sound of 3 shots. But one bullet hit the president's neck and the other on his head. The driver of the limousine drives away from the location without waiting, but President John F. Kennedy probably died at that very moment. Some described the culprit as black and some as white, but after the first fire, a motorcade police officer saw a man firing on the 6th floor. So without wasting any time, they entered inside the building and went till the 6th floor, but no one was present there. Within a few minutes, the entire building was sealed by the police and FBI, and all the employees present inside were stopped from going out. But from all these employees, there was only one person missing, and he was none other than Lee Oswald. Lee Oswald had probably immediately left the book depository after taking this action. He first went to his room, changed his clothes there, took his pistol and immediately came out. The police was already searching to arrest him, had made the patrolling of the entire city wireless. An officer on patrol saw Oswald, but before he could do anything, Oswald fired 4 shots at the police officer and killed him on the spot. Oswald has hidden himself in a nearby movie theater. Soon the police found him, arrested him and took him to the police headquarters. For the next 2 days, the police, FBI and CIA questioned him a lot. But this interrogation was not recorded. There is no evidence about what had happened in that closed room. On November 24th, when he was being transferred from the police headquarters to jail, a person shot him in front of the media and the police. Lee Oswald died in the same hospital where John F. Kennedy was taken. This was the story that was officially disclosed, but many witnesses said that this was not the same person whom they saw at the 6th floor window. Before being shot, Lee Oswald kept saying in front of the media that I am innocent. If this whole story is analyzed, then according to the police, Lee Oswald got the job in the book depository with great cleverness and planning. And alone he did all this planning by hiding from the FBI, CIA and police intelligence. But people say if Oswald had done such perfect planning alone, then how did he commit mistakes like running away from the building and killing the police officer? After the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, many investigation reports were published, but each report was making the case more confusing. After Oswald's death, a theory also emerged that perhaps he was killed by the same people who actually did all this planning. Because even if it was a conspiracy, it would not have been possible to do this work without insiders. Many people believe that the FBI and CIA were also involved in this conspiracy because Lee Oswald was actually a former U.S. Marine. He was already under surveillance by the FBI, but still they hid this from the president's Secret Service when he was deciding the route of the motorcade. During the investigation, many evidences were also destroyed. Firstly, the 3 bullet shells found from the 6th floor were removed without taking photographs, and then photographs were taken after placing the bullets again. The initial video of the place where the shots were fired was made by the police, but that too disappeared somewhere. And evidence of the shooter was definitely recorded so that this mystery never remains a mystery. During the shooting, a girl wearing a scarf was seen in almost all the photos and videos. She had a camera in her hand and had captured all the photos of the president's assassination. The scarf she was wearing is called Babushka, and hence she was named Babushka Lady. Many people have the theory that Babushka Lady was also a part of this entire plan, whose job was to record the scene, but till date the FBI couldn't find this girl.